Hi everybody, this is Frekhtman, a New York City personal injury trial attorney, and today I wanted to talk about something known as people care versus money care. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes personal injury victims get seriously injured due to the negligence of someone else, such as a ceiling collapse, a tractor trailer crash, a fall at a construction site, due to the negligence of, let's say, the site owner or the truck driver or the landlord of the building who failed to repair a leak and turned into a ceiling collapse, whatever the liability is, right? And then the person goes to trial and the defense lawyer is hired by the insurance company. The insurance company has a lot of money. They have billions of dollars in assets. They probably have a policy of perhaps $1 million with $5 million excess in the case of a tractor trailer, or if it's a construction site, they might have $100 million, right? A huge policy. If it's the case of a building, they may have, as I recently talked about, $1 million for the building with $20 million excess, or whatever parameters, but they have sufficient enough coverage, but they don't want to pay. And how do they get around paying? Well, one of the ways they skirt around paying fair compensation is they devalue the injury. They devalue the harm to the individual. They say, it's not so bad. We don't want these runaway verdicts, people getting $20 million, $50 million, it's crazy. Just give the plaintiff enough to make a difference in their life. And that's really, really wrong. And I think the way to combat that is to give a simple example. Let's say the plaintiff was at an 8, in terms of her health, his or her health. And then because of the serious crash, because of the injury, they went down to a 1. Well, giving them, 1 more, putting them at a 2 would make a difference in their life. But is that fair? Is that compensation? Is that what the law is supposed to do? A lot of people say justice is healing. Healing in terms of your health, getting best-in-class medical experts, and also healing in terms of financial compensation to make you whole, to put you in the same place you were before you got injured. And that's not, right? Because you were at an 8, they put you at a 1, now they're bringing you to a 2, it makes a difference, but that's not really what you need. You need to be at an 8. And so I think the important thing is to contrast people care versus money care. And what I mean by that is that the defense, what they do is they devalue the harm to a plaintiff. They say that it's not so bad, it doesn't really matter, it's just a fracture, it'll heal. But the fact that they lower the value of human life and the ways in which the injury affects the plaintiff, the client, his or her family, his or her friends, his or her work life, his or her, passions, their pleasures, like walking on the beach or playing a sport or whatever they enjoy doing. The fact that they devalue that and they say that's not worth anything is exactly why they, the defendants, didn't care enough to prevent the harm in the first place, right? That's why they care about corporate interests and making money much more than they care about preventing harm. Because if they cared about safety, if they really thought life was precious and everyone out there is a gem, right, or a diamond, they would be super careful. They would be super vigilant. They wouldn't want somebody to get really, really hurt, like fall on a hole that they knew about and then break their leg and then have multiple surgeries and never return to work again, or have the truck driver just doze off and crash into somebody and ruin somebody's life. Somebody has a traumatic brain injury because of a truck crash, a bad wreck with a semi-truck or a tractor trailer or any kind of truck. If they really cared about that harm, then they wouldn't hire drivers who, are former felons or who are doing drugs, or they wouldn't say, hey, I don't care, violate the rule, just get the load there. I got to get the load there because I got to make money, right? That's the whole point. And the fact that the defense devalues the harm to the plaintiff shows exactly why they don't care enough to prevent the harm in the first place. And the way you really look at that is this idea of people care, the way they treat people, the way they're treating a client, the injury victim, versus money care, the way they care about their money. And you could contrast that, right? In a trial, you could contrast that. You can compare and contrast. You could say, look, column A is the way they treat people. They have a truck, for example, barrel down the highway at full speed. The driver dozes off, or he shouldn't be driving. He's violating the rules. He crashes into this poor lady who's a passenger. She has severe brain injury. And then they're not even willing to compensate her. They're just saying it's not that bad. It doesn't matter. So guess what? They're just going to go and do it again to someone else. And meanwhile, their money care, the way that they treat their own money, if they have $1 million policy, they're not going to just say, hey, come and take my $1 million. They're going to hire the best white shoe lawyers, corporate lawyers who bill $500 an hour, who are going to ask for every authorization, for every medical record since that client was 2 years old. Some of them irrelevant. They're going to make motions and paper you to try to dismiss the case on technicalities. And why? Because they care about their money, right? They're doing everything to protect their money. So their money is so up here. They really love it. They really care about it. And they're giving all the deference and all the importance to their money. But people are way down here. We don't care about people. We can go hurt them because we just want to make more money, right? It's all corporate interests. So that's what I think it's really got to be tilted so it's more even. They have to tilt the scales. And I think that's the way to do that, is to just talk about it. Because if you just talk about what they're doing in trial, right? They're talking about every medical record. They're hiring these doctors who are known as independent medical examiners, but they're not independent. They're being hired by the insurance company to do these perfunctory 1 or 2 minute exams and then regurgitate these reports over and over again, template reports that say they're not injured, they're not injured, and they're not injured. And like nobody's ever injured. And these doctors don't even practice medicine. They don't perform surgeries in hospitals. They probably haven't performed a surgery like ever or in 20, 30 years. They're just retired. I like to call them jukeboxes because you pick the song that you want them to play, you put in the money, and then they play that song, which is pretty much what they are, jukebox witnesses. These defense doctors, they're being paid for by the defense lawyers who are being hired by the insurance company, right? It's all money care. They care about their money. They don't want to spend any extra money and lowballing the plaintiff. So many examples, if you've watched any of my prior videos, so many examples of cases where they offer you like $15,000. And then later on, when you litigate the case, and everything comes full circle, the case ends up settling for like almost $1 million. How did you offer $15,000 on that case? Because it's about money care, right? Money care versus people care. And I really think that's an important thing for people to understand. And I think it's an important thing for a lawyer to just, call it out. Be honest and be truthful. I like to talk about brutal honesty when I do a trial in jury selection and in the trial. And I think that's something that is an important theme to just call out, call it like it is. You get to the heart of it. And look, you say, look at the way that they're treating their money because they don't want to pay it. That's money care. Hiring these doctors to say that you're not hurt, belittling the injury, trying to say that the plaintiff will get better, trying to say that it doesn't have any value. But what about people care? What do they do in terms of that? Practically nothing, right? Because they're saying that they're not at fault. They're not even, they're not even willing to admit that they did something wrong. At least be willing to admit, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I did something wrong. I messed up. It's my fault. So, I take responsibility. At least do that. But half the time, they don't even do that. So I hope this has been helpful. Let us know what questions you have. Please like and subscribe to our channel. And I think this is an important theme to bring up when doing personal injury trials, this idea of people care versus money care. And I really think people care has to be way up here. Unfortunately, it's way down here. And money care is way up here. And I think it at least has to be balanced. I mean, I understand everyone has to make money, but it has to be balanced. It can't be that you only care about protecting your money and harming people just becomes okay in this corporate world. It's just not right. Okay, everyone, let us know what you think. And And remember, we are here for you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.